Hello, I'm Joseph Ross. Welcome to my special video. This is the end of the 2010s decade. Next year, 2020, will be the beginning of a new decade, the 2020s. The 2010s was a wonderful, sometimes bumpy but joyful decade that changed all of our lives in the modern age as we now know it. A lot of good and bad things and events happened in the 2010s, as with any decade of time. All of the millennial generation became the youth and came of age in this decade, and the millennials born in the 90s grew from kids and teenagers to young adults and men and women in their 20s. Some millennials also got married and had kids and began the next generation of people in this decade. We grew from still making VHS tapes and watching them, and primarily watching DVDs, to Blu-ray and internet entertainment streaming services such as Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, and now Disney+. We went from 3G and Edge cell service to 4G and 4G LTE cell service, and we improved Wi-Fi for our homes and public places. The smartphone app world boomed in the 2010s. iPhones and Androids replaced BlackBerry and Windows phones, and 2010 introduced Apple's groundbreaking, popular tablet, the iPad. The music world gave us such great musicians and singers such as Taylor Swift, who is the artist and woman of the decade, and Bruno Mars, and many more. The United States had two presidents in this decade, President Obama and President Trump, both with their own eras and list of accomplishments. We also had a terrible recession left over from the late 2000s that lasted about half of this decade, but we are now in economically prosperous times again. God, technology, social media, advances in science, and more changed our lives in this decade, and the world is different than it was even 14 years ago in 2005. For me, my life has changed a lot in this decade too. I got to be young in my 20s, my family grew, and I made a friend from the 2000s, my number one best friend and like a brother to me. And I was a groomsman in his wedding. This decade has been our decade. I hope the 2020s will be the same way. I love them all, and God bless them all. In summary, the 2010s decade has been a wonderful, joyful, loving time, an indisputable success, irreplaceable, and has an amazing and powerful legacy that will never be forgotten, and was one of the best decades ever in the history of time. Thank you to everyone that made this decade a wonderful time for me and for others. I'll always love the 2010s, and I'll never forget the 2010s. It was the first decade of my youth, and I enjoyed it, and I thank God for it. God is real, and He did a lot of good things for me in this decade, and I'm very thankful for that. I'll always be a 2010s guy. Goodbye to the 2010s, and hello to the 2020s. Thank you for watching this special video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and share the channel on social media. I'm Joseph Ross, and I'll see you in the next decade.